When my wife and I first saw some pottery made by Wes Evans, she leaned over and told me that this is incredible. Now, I don't know much about pottery, but I do trust Leah's opinion. Then I heard the story about this self-taught pottery maker. I thought it would make a good story, so here we are. This is the family farm in Haywood County. And the family home built in the 1850s and surviving the Civil War, well, that's another story. Wes makes his pottery in this small tool shed next to the big house.
I started driving a tractor when I was about 7 years old. So that's just all what I've always done, played in the dirt. And that's all this is mud. I just started throwing clay, and I started about a year ago, and it took a little while, and YouTube was my best teacher. I'm pretty good with my hands, I reckon. And like I said, all it is mud, and I go to, it's a Milan Heritage Day, and there'd be a potter there. And while my wife is walking around looking at the other stuff, I would just stand there and talk to the potter and watch him make the coffee mug, attach a handle and see where it came from, and then he would have some finished goods over there, and it was just hard to believe that mud turned into something that special. I've got a second cousin that has done it for 25 years, Madeline Timms, and I asked her if I could come out and watch her throw, and she didn't let me watch her. She just threw a ball of clay on an extra wheel she had and told me to sit down, and the only way she can't really teach it, you just have to get your hands dirty.
At his cousin's urging, Wes went out and bought his own equipment.
So I got on Craigslist and found a used wheel and a kiln down in Mississippi, and told my wife we'd take a road trip, and went down there and bought it.
Wes's wife, Cheryl, loves pottery and encouraged Wes to follow his creative
I
instincts.
think it's a gift that has been,
Somebody starts at 60.
buried deep within.
Well, I've got my clay already cut and balled out in different pounds, and you always keep your hands wet, and you can control the wheel by your foot pedal, and you put your elbow right there in the big of your leg. This is about 1.25 pounds of clay, and that's normally what I make my coffee mugs out of. And that's pretty well centered. As long as you can hold your hand on the top of the clay and your hand's not moving, you're in pretty good shape. And then you just start with a hole down through the middle. And for some reason, I know about where to quit. A lot of folks measure, but I never measure anything. And then you make a cylinder. If you're making a coffee mug, you make a cylinder. And you can pull it up about 3 different times, and you ought to be about there. And then you can get through, when you get the cylinder about where you want it, and I got the wheel running too fast right now. And then you get it up to the height you want, and then you can put some shape to it if you want to. I'm pressing the bottom of the ball of clay that's where you're, and then I push that clay up. And you'll have a coffee mug. And I usually run the wire underneath it to make sure everything is good. And then you'll leave it, you'll put it on the shelf over here and let it sit for about 2 hours, and then you can start over.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Am I doing good?
Get your hands wet.
Okay, get my hands wet.
Get in that cold
Making
water
pottery
over there.
may look easy, but it's not. I decided to give it a try.
You put that elbow
That's
right there.
Elbow's there.
I've told you that once, so
Yep.
that's all right. And then you push with that hand and sort of get it, and push with this hand.
I think I need more water.
You probably do. Let me help you out there. And then we'll take your hands off and we'll see what it looks like.
Oh, look what I've done.
That's pretty close. That's pretty
That's
close.
not bad.
That's not bad. Take your time. Come on up with it.
Whoop.
Yep.
See, we have a mistake there.
Yep. We'll
Yep.
get it straight. We'll get it straight. There you go. We may be making a bowl instead of a
Yeah, I think we're making a bowl.
coffee mug.
Now, you thought I was making a coffee mug. I knew all along. I really
You
wanted
knew
a
you was
bowl.
making a bowl. Okay. You trying to make you
Yeah.
a cereal bowl.
Believe that.
Yeah.
Can't make this.
Well,
Can't make this. Pottery time. Don't break it down.
and hold it tight
Okay. Going right under the.
and find out that we.
Oop. Yeah, I saw
Yep,
the wire.
You saw the wire.
Saw the wire. This
This
is a bowl with a hole.
No, so you have to start over.
So what do? You just compact that?
Well,
again?
it's hard to do, but
A couple of my kids gave pottery making a try, but they were about as successful as their dad.
you push it in, you push.
Let's go back to the master.
We're grooving.
With Valentine's Day coming up, I watched
Well.
Wes make some special heart
Right
bowls.
over here and give it a little pull. Go right over there and give it a little squeeze.
Once off the wheel, Wes's pottery creations have to sit on this shelf for about 2 weeks to dry.
You can either dip it or you can spray it on. And with spraying, you'd have to have a room and suit up and mask. And I said, no, we're not going to do that. So they said, well, the other way and the most popular way is just dip it.
The
So
pottery pieces on the shelf look amazing, but the most anticipated time of the pottery making process is when pieces have been dipped in color, then come out of the kiln to reveal their final
it
appearance.
takes 24 hours, put it in 24 hours ago. And it has to cool down on its own because that's how it gets its color. And then you can open the kiln up and see what kind of magic happened. And it's quite a bit of difference to go from that to that. Pretty neat. It's pretty neat to turn a ball of clay into something that's very useful and it's really, really pretty.
In the tool shed with Wes Evans on the family farm in Haywood County, Tennessee, I'm Tim Simpson. Thanks for watching.